So I'm Kieran Fahey, sitting South End. I work, as I said, on the...
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Get an extra few seconds in there. Reinventing CSO solutions, so combined sewer overflow solutions. So we do lots of things in relation to our long-term control plan, and one of them I'm going to talk about today is a way that we've tried to take a different approach to solving that age-old problem of the combined sewer overflow by using smart sewer sensors and how we've been able to be successful. So in general, first of all, this is a combined sewer overflow here. Basically under normal conditions, water enters the interceptor from the trunk sewer, but under right conditions it reaches its pier here and will overflow and will eventually run into the St. Joseph River. So what we have, there's the policy here. In 1994 the EPA set up the CSO policy. In 2012 the City of South Bend signed a consent decree, and that consent decree has a 20-year long-term plan. So that long-term plan is the plan that I'm implementing at the moment. And this is a graphic of the plan here. You'll see phase 1 here, phase 2 over here. Look at the green at the bottom though. The costs are the important thing here. 150 million done to do 713 million. So that's why we're trying to reinvent the solution to come up with an alternative mechanism instead of going at it the traditional way. This is a graphical portrayal of the plan here basically. So the CSO is at 35 at the moment. They all get lumped together in a colour-coded kind of way. Ultimately then into 7 storage tanks, 1 storage conduit, 1 parallel interceptor. So this is the $713 million that's yet to be spent. This is the problem we're trying to do. So ultimately though, look at some figures from South Bend. 1 in 5 households will pay 10% of their household income tax just toward that bill. 1 in 10 will pay 14%. So 1 in 10 houses will pay 14%. On average, that's 3.69% of median household income in South Bend. And this is just to show you the difference. So obviously not every census tract is different. So some here, the darker ones, will pay a higher percentage because they're more impoverished areas. For example, over 8% of residential indicator, meaning 8% of median household income will go towards paying this one particular bill. So due to affordability, we try to reimagine this basically, and we use smart sewer sensoring technology and green stormwater infrastructure, and we've been able to come up with a new plan now at the moment that's going to save us in the region of $500 million. And importantly, when I say this, while still maintaining the same benefit. So the sensors that we have in the ground, these are sensor locations here. These are the first things that we did. These are some of the things that we were able to find that previously we hadn't known were in the sewers. So obviously you take these out, you've already increased your capacity, and you're able to manage your sewer flow much better. Then the interceptor, different lines across the community are able to relate to the interceptor better. So if you've got capacity in your trunk sewer, you get less access to the interceptor. If you've got more, if you're about to overflow, you get more. So just to show you a model, and look at the difference here. The old model, the green versus the red. So the red is actual rainfall and actual overflow volume, and the green is model. So the difference here basically is money. With new modelling data, we've been able to use our sensors to come up with a much more accurate model. You'll see the lines here are much more of a fit. So the sewer data basically enabled us to come up with a model. That model has meant that we're able to design more accurately what we need to build to solve the problem. So what we've been able to do when we're revising the long-term control plan, data-driven maintenance has increased the capacity, we've reduced overflows, we've reduced the deficiencies of our old plan. So now we're talking about a new proposal to use that smart sewer data to optimise our long-term control plan in the cloud basically. So to use as much technology as possible. So the next step basically, as well as having come up with a better model, we're doing a more frequent model, because a model basically is your mechanism that you use for designing a long-term control plan. So we've been able to do we've been able to develop what we're calling a smarter alternative for a greener environment, by using all that data that we've gathered over the last 10 years. And instead of trying to say what might happen when it rains, we're able to say previously what did happen when it rains, because we've got 10 years worth of real data. So instead of using those assumptions, we've been able to come up with the smarter alternative for a greener environment. This is a pretty good acronym. We had got tied with the idea of the Green Infrastructure and Network Technology Clean River Action Plan, which would be GIANT CRAP, but this works out a lot better, obviously. So, just to show you, we're down to $200 million here. We've got 9 key areas of green infrastructure. We've got 3 tanks, one at the wastewater treatment plant, 2 further downtown here. So this plan is $200 million versus $713 million. And basically, this has been able to, you'll see the examples here. The amount of overflow has drastically reduced. If you look back to 2008, we had over 2 billion gallons. Last year, we were down to 476. So it's a combination of the smart sewer technology as well as some sewer separation projects that we've completed as well over the last couple of years. These figures here are just to show you E. coli that travels through town. So generally you'll see that the levels, while the level is increasing still as it travels through South Bend, unfortunately the actual increase has decreased, if you know what I mean. The actual level is not as drastic as it used to be. So we've installed the technology, and basically it has given us a new approach because we've got the data to show that we can actually build our way out of this problem without just relying solely on grey infrastructure. By using the smart sensors and by using green technology, we'll be able to save large amounts of money and, importantly, as I mentioned, still maintain the same environmental benefits. So it's a win-win for everybody. So that's it. Any questions?